dogs.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very pleased to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show comes to you from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. I am drinking Redemption Rye tonight. Ben, I think you have some Yellowstone. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thanks, true. And just, you know, for the sake of advertising, I do have the Bradshaw right here, but there's not much left. And Scarps, welcome back. I assume you might still be trying to rehydrate.
Threes. I guess it's 48.5.
Oh, Voodoo Ranger Hazy IPA burger. Yeah. That's outstanding.
I was going to say Big Ben's burger. We got Ben himself.
Yeah.
I'm good. I was good last week. I mean, I had some beverages, but it was.
Well, I would say you had some beverages.
It was incredible.
Now you, of course, were watching some NCAA hoops action.
Confirmed.
And, now, were you in the arena for the big 3-point display by the kid from Oakland University?
Yes, sir. You know, if you've never been to an NCAA tournament game, I suggest that you try to go, because the moment that the underdog has a slight chance of winning the game, the crowd turns on the favorite. And Kentucky, Lexington is not too far from Pittsburgh, but when was this like Holkey or whatever the hell his name is?
Yeah.
This dude was shooting shit from Heinz Field.
He was, man. He wasn't like at the line. He was shooting them from all over.
It was unbelievable. And the crowd, even though it was pro Kentucky, definitely turned on them. Definitely. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's what we love about sports. But anyway, man, we got a lot of NFL rule changes and stuff tonight. Steelers, of course, signed Cordarrelle Patterson. We'll get into that a little bit. Plus, perhaps, some of these issues with wide receiver. They seem to have George Pickens and a lot of slim Pickens, if you will. And anyway, we'll get into all that. Ian should be along shortly. We hear one of his 62 kids might still be awake at this time, or it could be all of them. And see, Aaron's here tonight. Awake. Aaron's not at that Bear Paw concert that he was at last week or whatever it is.
Bear Paw?
I don't know. I'm messing with him.
Barefoot.
Barefoot.
Barefoot. Yeah, I was at the Barefoot Winery concert or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
sounds very Ohio.
It is very Ohio. Yeah. It's. I mean, well. I'll be nice. I'm not going to say
why.
I haven't had enough.
The only thing that's off limits tonight for bashing is Baltimore. We can't do our usual trash talk about Baltimore tonight.
Yeah, what do we say at the end tonight? I thought about that.
Nah, I don't know. Good luck, Baltimore. Hey, we're pulling for you. We are.
Yeah, I mean,
that sucks,
I'm not.
Man. I mean, it's a damn good thing. Two things happened. One, it was late at night, and two, they did call out a Mayday, and they closed. Yep. They closed off the bridge.
Yep.
But
yeah,
I mean, they saved some people, but a lot of people still died, and some of them were actually just working on the bridge.
Yep.
Just went to work that night and ended up dead.
Yeah, and we know that we are part of your escape from that stuff, so we won't go into it too long. But certainly thoughts with those people there.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be a rough go for the folks there in Baltimore. Anyway, guys, let's talk a little bit about these rule changes, because they're to me they're fascinating, and in some cases they're
fascinating. It's not the word I was going to use.
Fascinating for the kickoff rule, and I'll get into why.
Okay.
But then I look at like the hip drop tackle thing. It's one thing when you get a few players that come out and are like, I don't like this, but man, there was a lot of people coming out against this. The coaches' challenges changed a little bit. So there's a few things. So let's start with the kickoff rule. My first thought to both of you guys, Ryan, what is your feeling on the new kickoff?
My feeling about it is that I think that they took into account the expertise of a variety of seasoned NFL special teams coordinators that are very prominent, and I believe Danny Smith was a part of that conversation, and I think they thought, hey, how can we make a play that used to be exciting again?
Yep.
Because it's just easier to just kick the ball through the end zone now. It really is. You just kick the ball through the end zone, and now you can still do that. But I think that there's more of an onus now on the return team to be more creative because of the rules. There's not going to be a running start for the kicking team, the receiving team as well. So it's going to be there's still going to be contact, but it's going to be more controlled contact, and that helps hopefully lower head injuries, leg injuries, knee injuries, etc.
Absolutely.
But also, to me, I think they did this because it's a chess move, right? It's a play that you can make, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. There's definitely some questions that I have, but if you could get a good skilled kicker that can put the ball sort of coffin corner, but not kick it out of bounds,
right?
You're talking about a serious advantage. So, some people think that special teams don't matter, which is wrong. They do matter.
Absolutely wrong.
I think that there is going to be a variety of special team spots open this year that may have not been ever open before based on previous rules.
Yeah, I before I flip it to Ben, I mean it definitely has maybe created some openings for guys that maybe thought they were headed out of the league a little bit too. I mean, let's face it, the kickoff has become like, oh well, second half kickoff starting, I still got time to go get a beer. No big deal because we're going to kick it to the end zone.
I think it's just going to change it. I think a lot of guys that thought for sure they had jobs every year don't anymore because it devalues guys like gunners on kickoff team. You don't need a gunner anymore.
No.
What's he going to run 5 yards before he runs into somebody? You don't need a gunner.
No,
that doesn't matter. You need a gunner on punts, but that's two guys. You don't need. And
I'm going to ask you guys about the punt play here shortly, but we'll keep talking about the kickoff.
But I think it was twofold. Yeah, if you've got a really good place kicker who can put the ball, outside the numbers, but down at the 5-yard line. So worst case, it goes into the end zone. Okay. I think what they're going to try and do is drop the ball between the 10 and the 15, off numbers, so to speak. So if somebody decides to let it roll, it doesn't necessarily get into the end zone. It might still, I don't know. But what they're trying to do is encourage returns.
Oh, for sure.
They're trying to encourage the return. And if the ball hits the ground outside the end zone and doesn't go out of bounds, you have to return it.
Yeah. No fair catches. None.
Right.
Gone.
Right. And it can't roll into the end zone either.
That's
the other thing. I was like, okay.
I was thinking about this, and this might be a bit far-fetched because the kicker is still kicking it from the 35-yard line. It's just that you've now got the kick coverage teams way up, okay?
All the way up at the 40.
Yeah.
Which is 10 yards further than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
When I saw the proposal, I was like, whoa, okay.
Is it
all the
possible?
way up at the other team's 40?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just wondering: is it possible for a guy to really kick a big high ball there? And I mean, to me, you're still going to have some collisions. You're going to have some ugliness.
Sure,
I know it gets rid of some of the nastiness. Don't get me wrong.
The receiving team can line up. They have a 5-yard zone where they can set up. Okay?
Right.
So they can line up anywhere between the 30 and the 35. So they can line up all the way up if they want. They can line up back. So there's still going to be some gamesmanship with returns in regard to blocking schemes, which is fine. Whatever. You don't have that much time to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be as coordinated as it's been. On top of that, you don't know where the ball is coming. So you can't call a play before the kick in anticipation of the fact that this guy over here is going to get the ball.
That's a good point. The idea of designed kick returns is going to be much more difficult because you don't have the time to set something up anymore.
Right.
It used to be, well, we're going to kick return right.
So the value of the returner comes up. So let's just segue into that.
Yep.
All right. So literally, Patterson's agent was at the NFL team meetings. And if this rule passed, the Steelers already told him they wanted to sign him. It's a 2-year, $6 million deal because the value of the returner has gone up because he's got to be able to produce on himself.
Drastically. Yep.
But can a 33-year-old running back really still do that? I don't know.
I don't either. I like that they're being proactive.
I'm just gonna wait and see on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any crazy predictions, but I look at a guy he's the record holder for the most kickoff return TDs in NFL history, and yeah, he's 33 years old, but I think he's also got a shit ton of experience too, and I think that matters as well. But man, they got him. That's a relatively good price. I don't have a problem with that. Our buddy Derek, who was here with us for a while, and he's now over at Steelers now with Alan and Nick and stuff. And, he did a nice little video thing of Cordarrelle Patterson as a running back, and just talked about how this idea that he's just this former receiver that just kind of, skips through the line. The dude lowers his pads.
No, he's built like a brick shit house.
No, he puts the lumber on you. So I think
he's 220 pounds. He's not. He's not a long, lanky guy.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And Ben, I know you hate fantasy football, but I want to be real about this. So, last year, and I was guilty of this. I drafted Drake London in my fantasy league, and as soon as I did it, I was like, shit, man, Arthur Smith. There's going to be 1,000 people touching the ball this year. So I sit there and think, is Cordarrelle Patterson just a returner? Because to me, you're right. He's big. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. So, I predicted the Steelers are going to have the most players to have a team history.
Not a bad bet.
Like if Russell Wilson plays well, he's going to catch a pass, catch a touchdown, throw a touchdown, and run for a touchdown.
Boy, you know what? There's a prop bet for you.
Or Justin Fields.
I mean,
this is what Arthur Smith does. But that being said, getting back to the receiving core, you got George Pickens, and then you got a bunch of wide receiver 4 and 5s, in my opinion, including Calvin Austin. So a guy like Calvin Austin, who may have been able to, hello Ian, who may have been able to, sort of
hang around,
hang around, but also made the team based on his return skills.
Yeah.
I think that he's in trouble.
He is. He's got to make it now as a receiver.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. You're right.
I mean,
because
he's a backup return man, effectively.
Yeah, well, he's still going to be your punt returner, though, isn't he?
I don't know.
I don't think
know
he's
about
good.
that.
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
He's not even a good punt returner.
I say that only because Patterson's strictly kickoff.
I think he's a bit of both. Patterson's strictly kickoff returners?
Pretty much. If you look at his history, very few punt returns.
But the way punt returns go, you could get a speedy defensive back that could be your punt returner, like Calvin Austin. And I'm going to say this is that I really think that they are not tied to any picks that Colbert had, and Calvin Austin was a Colbert pick.
I get that.
True.
Nobody is safe. And
the thing that Danny Smith has emphasized over the years, and Tomlin as well, but Danny Smith is they want a punt returner back there who can field the ball cleanly. And that's why I don't see a DB going back there doing it. Unless that guy's got hands like a receiver, I don't see it.
Ian, welcome to the show. I was just I'm gonna throw one at you right now here, right off the bat.
Softball.
Wait, yeah. When's I'm trying to think of the last DB that we've used as a full-time returner.
Ike Taylor was a kickoff returner his rookie year, but not a punt returner. Was Allen Rossum technically a defensive back? Because Stephon Logan was technically a wide receiver.
Ricardo Coakley.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Coakley. I mean, what was Hank Poteet considered?
Hank Poteet was a corner. Yeah, he was definitely a corner.
Right.
Yeah, that was late 90s.
I was racking my brain to go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Hank was 2000.
He was. I know he was there in 2000 when Three Rivers closed.
2003 or 2002. One of those.
He might have been there a couple years after.
No, I'm talking about when he was drafted. He was a second round pick.
Well, no, he was, because I was at the last Three Rivers game and he returned a punt for a touchdown that game.
Yeah, you're right. Poteet was 2000 to 03.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was a cornerback. So
right. I just, to Ben's point, Danny Smith seems to definitely have a type, if you will, and it's not DBs.
And Danny Smith wasn't the special teams coordinator.
No.
But he emphasizes he wants a guy back there who can catch the ball cleanly first and foremost.
Yep.
And I understand that, because if you fuck up that part of it, you potentially end up giving the other team the ball, a new set of downs, rather, the ball and a great field position and a new set of downs.
Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah. Gunnar. Yeah.
Gunnar Olszewski. Sorry. Anyway, Ian, what are you drinking tonight, by the way?
So I'm fighting off a cold, so tea and whiskey.
Oh,
sissy.
Beautiful.
What do you mean, sissy?
I have sissy. You're mixing perfectly good whiskey with tea.
No. I have a cup of tea and a glass of whiskey.
Okay.
Separately.
All right, that's fine. It's better now.
You know what, Ian? I'll take one, because when I had my cold, I was doing the tea, honey, whiskey combination. So,
what I do.
That's almost like a hot toddy. That's
do the hot toddy. Exactly.
Yes.
That's some good shit.
This is the herbal throat coat tea, which I highly recommend when you're having to talk a lot.
Oh, got a lot of that in our kitchen.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
So good.
Yes, very good.
Ryan gave me a look. I saw that look, Scarf.
You said throat coat. I had no idea what you were talking about.
Here's a guy who hasn't had a cold in a while.
Yeah.
Here's a guy whose mind's in the gutter.
I was just about to say, here's a guy whose mind's in the gutter.
Yes, Jen, our pinky finger is always out when we drink. Oh, man. Well, Ian, I want to give you a chance to, we were talking about the kickoff rule and the significant changes, and, the fact that clearly the Steelers were interested in getting an experienced kick returner, so they grabbed Patterson like lickety split.
Yeah.
And did you have any thoughts at all on the kickoff changes?
I mean, it's definitely changing a piece of the way football is played. Will
you pay more attention to that now, the kickoff?
I think so. The thing to me is, and I tweeted about this, that there's some really interesting potential strategy now that can come into play on a kickoff. That, the way the rules are written and all the videos they showed with the XFL plays is basically, it's almost like a pooch kick, right? Because you have the landing zone where you have to drop the ball between the 20 and the goal line, right?
Right.
So everything they're showing is this pooch kick, a high arcing kick that comes down, the guy catches it, and then everybody starts running. And it is more like, I guess, an extended running play where you've got 10 blockers spread out with one guy trying to find the holes. And if you find the hole, there's an opportunity to break a big one, but the holes are going to be smaller. So, the type of players that can succeed in these returns are going to be probably more on the guys with short area quickness that can find and get through those holes rather than the guys with the pure long speed. So the track guys are going to be out of it. But also, how you strategize your blockers, maybe your, tight end linebacker type bodies more so than your, defensive lineman type. But back to the actual kickoff part. Thanks, Aaron.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Aaron just suggested if a man can find a hole, it's Ian. Well played, Aaron. Well played.
Cheers. All right. So, but on the kickoff, I think the more I thought about it, I think in some of the teams that tend to like push the rules a little bit, your New Englands of the world, the Ravens, the really smart ones. I think the actual best play is to kick like a low line drive squib kick that lands between the 15 and the 20. Because the way the rule is written, the kicking team the coverage unit can start running either when the ball is caught or when it hits the ground.
Correct. In
the landing zone. Yep. So if you have this low line drive that hits at like the 17-yard line, the coverage unit can start running. Then the returner, Ben, you're on mute. I don't know what you're saying. Ben, the returner has to. Okay, he's talking to his dog. Then the returner has to field a bouncing ball while the coverage unit is converging on him. And also, if you kick it into the end zone or out of the back of the end zone on the fly, the touchback comes out to the 35. But if it hits in the landing zone and rolls into the end zone and is downed, it only goes to the 20. Yeah. So even if they don't field it and just down it in the end zone, that low squib kick saves you 15 yards of field position also. So I think that's probably the better bet. On the return team side, can I add one more thing? Sorry. On the return team side, the intriguing thing to me is you're allowed to have two guys back in the landing zone, and they're allowed to move before the ball is caught. So you could have guys set up in a certain place, have the kicker try and angle the ball in one direction, but like have those guys start running when the kicker starts his run up to just like screw around with the kicker. So that's some intriguing, ways to think about it too. Yes.
You're talking about a squib kick that travels 45 yards before it hits the ground.
More, I mean,
I don't see it. I don't see that as being realistic.
I think, I mean, but these are professional kickers. They can practice at it all off season.
Okay, I get that, but it's got to go 45 yards before it hits the ground, minimum. And then when it hits the ground, you don't really want it to roll all the way into the end zone.
You could. It doesn't hurt you.
What happens enough velocity?
What happens if it hits before
it hits
the 20?
Ground? If it hits the ground before the 20,
it's like out of bounds. It's
it
like
goes to the 40.
It goes to the 40.
Right.
Yeah, it's illegal formation. It goes to the 40. If it lands in the landing zone, it has to be returned.
Mm-hmm. Yes, or it can be down if it rolls into the end zone.
Yeah, it can be down, but they get it where? The 20?
20, yeah.
The 20.
Yes. 20. That's what I'm saying is if you can get it to roll into the end zone, that's the favorable option. So, but you're right. That is a long kick to have to do that. But
to do it that flat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I guess
I like the idea of hang time to give your guys, a little more time to decide where they're going to go, how they're going to approach it. And then ideally, what you want is for nobody to catch it, for it to hit the ground.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I George made an interesting point about windy, bad weather days. I think that's also going to affect how special teams coaches approach this too.
Yeah.
Making pop-ups perhaps easier, squibs easier. Who knows? I'm just really interested to see how they do it. I'll have to go back and watch some XFL film. No, I don't think I would do that to myself. Real quick, I just wanted to bring Steelson in here. 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago to the day, actually.
He was so excited when they drafted Kenny Pickett. What we should do is go back to the video.
Go back and put the video
and
on.
Watch his reaction. He was so psyched.
So for those that weren't here, we do the draft live, first round every year. We're always on during the draft. And 2 years ago, of course, the Steelers chose Kenneth Shane Pickett, and Steelson here was not overly thrilled. And now he's got kind of a good bad thing here. He really wanted McDuffie, the cornerback from Penn State. Who's gone on to be a really nice
Washington.
I'm sorry, wrong McDuffie.
Who they never even looked at.
We did not.
You mean the All-Pro?
No, they didn't look at him.
But the downside is that he also thought Malik Willis was going to turn into something. So
yeah,
me too, young lad. Me too.
Later at the end of tonight's broadcast, Casey Kasem will be here.
In fairness, was there anybody on this show who wanted Kenny Pickett before the draft?
No.
Anyone?
No.
No.
And I think Scarps made a great point earlier today in our chat. If we would have drafted Kenny Pickett in the third round, I think everybody would have been fine with that.
Absolutely.
But
probably, yeah.
Not
I mean, if we'd gotten Tyler Linderbaum in the first round that year, I would have been fucking fine with that. I don't know about you guys.
That was the other one.
Yeah,
that was the other one that hurt me too.
Steelson.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna talk, young lad, because you and I know ball. Okay.
Oh yeah,
really?
But
I think we do too.
But who is this Carter fellow or fellow in
so
his chat?
This kid in the chat right now is one of my buddies, little brothers.
Carter,
missing
shout out to Carter.
Some gambling right now for this, but I want to give my.
You shouldn't be gambling, young lad, but I understand it's
legal. It's all for fun. They don't actually play with real money.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Keep telling yourself that, Mark.
I know a guy.
They use M&Ms, Ian.
I know a guy that does heating and air conditioning and does numbers, and it's not Robert Spillane. But the point is, but no, but still, son, I'm going to cheers to you right now because I've experienced so much Pickettologist hate from people. But you're right, Ben. I think all of us didn't want Kenny Pickett. It had nothing to do with him going to Pitt. It had everything to do with the fact that he's not a good football player.
Right.
And he had one good year in college when he was 75 years old. But
no, it had everything to do with the fact that he's weak armed. Okay. He doesn't have the physical talent to be an NFL quarterback. We all knew that. Basically, I mean, I said it on this show. I'm like, bottom 10 quarterback for his career. That's going to be his byline if he gets that far. Now, the dude is going to be a journeyman. The next 2 years, he's not going to play at all.
No, I agree.
He's behind a guy who's younger than he is and is entrenched with a market contract. Is he the third highest paid player in the league?
He's up there.
He's up there.
Something like that, yeah.
Third or fourth highest paid player in the league through 2027. He is not playing at all the next 2 years. He's going to sit on the bench, and then at the end of that, he's going to go into free agency and sign some, Mason Rudolph type deal for $3 or $4 million a year. Maybe by then it'll be 5 for backups. I don't know.
Right.
He's done. He did himself in, and he had a pretty good opportunity in Pittsburgh even this year. If he just would have sucked it up and been like, okay, I'm going to sit on the bench for 1 year behind this 35-year-old guy, and then I'm going to have one more chance.
Yeah.
They had to be a little bitch, and so he's gone. I'm calling it the way it is, man. I'm sorry.
Real quick before I get Steelson off to play cards for M&M's here, do you have a guy that you're watching in the first round?
Wait, is M&M at the card party? You are from Michigan. I'm just saying. It's Marshall Mathers.
We play euchre up here, buddy.
Is Marshall Mathers at this poker tournament? Because
anybody you like in the draft, like right now, I know there's still 3-4 weeks out here, but
gotta be the Oregon center.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love that, but I think it's going to be Mims.
Mims is the other one I would be happy with that, because my hope is that the Georgia center, if we do go Mims at tackle, hopefully Van Pran falls back. I don't think he will, but if he does,
I think he'll fall to at least the second. And there's also the kid from West Virginia, who's also a good center. He's athletic. I'd love JPJ and Mims, but that's impossible.
My other big issue though is we need to get another receiver now.
Well, maybe.
Freiermuth's health is up in the air. He gets one more concussion, and I mean,
the kid knows ball. I'm just saying.
One more concussion, he might be looking at ending his career, and then you take Freiermuth out. Shit, who are you going to throw it to?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think they could sign a wide receiver.
Yes.
And I think they might draft another tight end, because little Hayward's not a tight end.
I think it's going to happen too.
This offense is predicated upon the tight end, both blocking and receiving.
It is.
I mean,
he's
all
right.
Like Scarf talked about before. Have fun, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Enjoy your life.
Don't bet the inside straight.
Like Scarf talked about earlier.
Enjoy your life. He's in college.
This could,
right?
You enjoyed your life when you were in college. Shut up.
Yes.
Even more so to fucking tell your son to enjoy probably the best moments of his life. Like, I mean, I still have good moments, but like I'm just saying.
Scarps pointed this out earlier, and he's dead right. The Steelers will probably lead the league in guys who catch significant yardage and or touchdowns this season. Different guys, different numbers of guys. It won't be 4 or 5 guys that score all the points. And one of them is named Chris Boswell.
The MVP of the 2023 Steelers?
Offensive MVP for sure.
Absolutely. He's my guy.
Kenny can't score points in the fucking end zone, in the red zone.
No. Let's talk a little bit about the hip drop tackle.
Yes, I'm sure this will be equitably and evenly enforced. And
RIP.
Well, look, they've already flat out said Troy Vincent has already said, well, it's probably going to look a lot like, a player using the helmet. It might not get called in the game, but they're going to get a fine. The players just have to be livid about that kind of crap.
They're trying, my understanding, and I don't know any of this shit firsthand. I'm getting it third, fourth hand. You know this.
Yeah.
My understanding is they're trying to write it narrowly, so that it doesn't get called as often as we as fans fear it's going to be called, but that it will be reviewed and that it will be fined after the fact. So they're going to try and legislate it out via the fines. But yeah, if a guy lands in somebody's legs, let's just say hypothetically, a guy's tackling another guy around the waist, not even up high. He's around the waist and he lands on his legs. They might fine him for that, which to me is fucking bullshit.
Well,
if you're a defender, what are we going to start doing? Giving these guys more money because they're defenders and they needed to pay fines?
Well, they're often referring to this as kind of an extension of Seahawk tackling. And obviously Pete Carroll's not there anymore. And this all emerged following all of the head trauma stuff, and teams were looking for different ways. So they explored rugby tackling, things of that nature. And look, this is all the rage in the lower levels. This is how they teach high school kids to tackle now. But the part where the player drops down all of his weight on the running back or the ball carrier, that's not really part of that teaching. It's the grab and spin and pull down. Getting yourself on top of the guy was never really part of it. So I don't know where that came in.
Right.
Well, back in the day, we just used to club the shit out of each other.
We would hit guys. We would hit guys square.
Right.
Like we were taught, square your shoulders up with your target.
Yep.
Look at what you're going to hit and go straight ahead, right? That's not the thing anymore, and I get it. What I thought the Seahawks were teaching before, and it was not the hip drop tackle, it was angles and leverage. It was hit the guy at the angle.
Absolutely. Yep.
And force him to go down that way, not grab him around the shoulder pads.
Nope.
And then lift your weight off the field and pull him down that way, which is what this has evolved into.
Yeah.
My buddy this week pointed something out to me. Hi, Ruddy. And he was like, isn't that how Le'Veon Bell tore up his knee that year? And he's correct. He's correct. What happened was Burfict came up behind him, grabbed him by the back of the shoulder pads, curled up around him, landed on his legs, injured his knee, and then got up and celebrated that he'd injured another player.
Well, we are talking about
Vontaze
Burfict,
who's a piece of shit. Yes, you're correct. Go ahead.
Scarps.
I agree that he is a piece of shit, but I mean, what year was that? 2015?
2015.
Okay, so 10 years later ish.
Yep.
They're basically again taking an opportunity away from the defense. And I get it. You don't want headshots. I get it. You don't want headshots. You don't want guys going for their knees. You can't go high. You can't go low. Where the fuck are you supposed to go? You can't wrap up. You can't horse collar. You can't do it. And listen, and you know, that hit, I agree. Like that hit that DeMonte Casey had on Michael Pittman last year was tough to watch. And no, I don't think he should have been suspended, but I think he should know better. But in this instance, in this hip drop type of thing, how many times, I'm going to be real about this. How many times would Troy Polamalu be fined or penalized for bringing a guy to the ground?
Troy typically tackled people below the knee.
Okay. Let me.
He was criticized.
I know where you're going.
Subjectively.
Troy frequently was criticized for being an ankle tackler, quote unquote. And I didn't give a fuck. We talked about this last week. And I'm sorry you missed this. But I didn't care. I was like, I don't give a shit if he tackles people by the goddamn pinky toe. As long as he makes the tackle, and he always fucking does. Who cares?
Subjectively, though.
I see where Ryan's going with this. Yeah. The problem is when you're coming at a guy from the side, if he falls forward, your body's automatically going to go onto his legs. And if they call it every time you fall on somebody's legs, we're going to have problems. Sorry.
I think
no, you're
again,
right.
Like I think what they're trying to outlaw, and I hope they write it really narrowly. They're trying to outlaw guys grabbing guys by their shoulder pads and then dropping their weight on their back. On their back.
No doubt about it.
And resulting in a hit at the knee or below. If they write it really narrowly, it'll be okay. But this is the NFL, and the referees are part-timers, and they will find a way to fuck this up, I know.
See, the scenario you just described, I think, is dead on. That's not only going to be a fine, that's going to be a flag. I really do. If you grab the shoulder pads, pull down and then just use all your weight to drag the guy down, much like a horse collar. But here's what I'm looking at. What's going to happen? And I think back to I think it was Logan Wilson and Mark Andrews beginning of last season. I don't think Wilson grabbed him up high. I think Wilson almost came around behind him around his waist and dropped down and came across. Andrews'
he had his
ankle.
His left arm above his shoulder pads and his
okay.
Right
I stand corrected then.
But his right arm under, and he swung around him this way and landed on his legs.
To me, that's going to be where it gets subjective, though.
Andrews got fucked up on that. Well, no,
yeah, it was bad.
He did have one arm over the shoulder pads, and he dropped all of it. He lifted his weight off the ground and had all of his weight land on Andrews.
Yes,
and that's why Andrews got hurt.
Yep.
Okay, so okay. Mark Andrews is 6'5", 250, fucking running full steam ahead.
Yep.
And Logan Wilson is not some small guy, but there's a thing called momentum. And and if you just grab onto somebody, there's a chance your ass might come off your legs. Wait, hold on a second. There's a chance that
that Ryan hasn't been drinking for a while.
Now, here's a guy who didn't remember his anatomy.
No. If somebody's running away from you and you grab them, their momentum might carry you into a position where you leave your feet and you happen to land exactly how Logan Wilson did.
Okay,
on Mark Andrews.
Might, hypothetically. In that instance, that's not what happened.
See, Ben,
he tried to pull him down from behind, and that's what they're trying to outlaw. So, I have looked at that play a bunch of times because it's the example they keep using over and over and over.
Right,
and
they have used it.
But
and they used the one on Geno Smith too on the sidelines.
I haven't seen that one.
That one's bad.
And Ben, for those watching, like Ben and I, we battle a little bit, but we have mutual respect. And
we enjoy not agreeing.
And yes, but Ben, I'm gonna call bullshit on that Logan Wilson example. I agree that they made an example of Logan Wilson, but I do not think that he did anything egregious. I think it was a fluke play.
I don't think he did it intentionally.
Oh no, I don't either.
I will agree with you there. What I will say is he grabbed him by the shoulder pads. Okay, one arm over, one arm under, and tried to pull him down from behind, which is exactly what they are trying to eliminate. They're basically saying, if you can't hit the guy from the side and take him down, well, you better slow him down another way, because
I really
isn't going to work anymore.
The whole problem with this entire thing is just I can't remember who. I can't remember who was it that was it Jerry Glanville maybe he called the referee an over officious jerk or something like that. I remember it from one of those NFL films things. But everything is under the microscope now and it's slowed way down. And here's the one thing we all forget. Officials don't see the play in slow motion. And everybody starts screaming at the officials when they get it wrong because replay overrules it or something. And to me, this is just a constant recycling of this same problem that officials are just not given enough grace on this. And I'm not saying they don't make bad calls because they do, but every single thing is just constantly.
We need full-time officials.
Oh,
at minimum, what we need is a full-time referee. So the team leader, the guy who actually calls the penalties, he should be a full-time employee at minimum.
Yes.
They have 12. They have 12 teams. How many teams do they have?
Well,
I guess they have 16 teams.
They have to have 16.
Yeah. I think there's actually 17 because there's always one that's off each 1 week, I think.
Fuck you, Johnny.
Welcome in, Johnny. The show just wasn't the same.
So you got 17 teams. And you need at least 17 guys plus the vice president of officiating who are full-time employees.
Well,
at minimum. At minimum.
They want a sky judge, but they don't want to call it a sky judge. They want to call it assistant official or something stupid. I don't know.
What they really need to do.
Yeah, Ian.
Is set up.
Ian hates the refs.
Yes, exactly.
You're a hater, Ian.
I am a hater. Well, and part of my problem with full-time officials is that like these part-time guys can't figure out how to properly officiate a game, and we want to make them full-time. But here's what they need to do. I understand the concept of full-time officials if they're competent at their job. But really, to me, they need to set up a program for ex-players, the guys who've actually done it, who know the speed of the game, who know what is cheating and what is not cheating, right? If you listen to ex-players talk, like ex-lineman will be like, yeah, I held the crap out of that guy. Like, they didn't call it, but I definitely held him. Or defensive backs will be like, oh yeah, I definitely grabbed that guy, and I got called for it, or I acted like I didn't. But they need to let have a program for ex-players to get into officiating, because they're the ones that actually know what the players do and what to look for.
There to that point, there are a couple of former players who have become officials. And I cannot recall where I saw this several years ago, but several players said those guys understood it. Exactly what you're saying, especially in the secondary. Mm-hmm. On those bang plays where it looks like a guy's taking another guy's head off, and that's not the case at all. It's because the offensive player drops his head, drops his shoulders, and it looks like head to head, and it's not. They did cite those guys. They said, we appreciate those guys because they've been here.
Yeah. That was what I thought last year with KZ when he got suspended. I was like, that dude dropped his head. What was KZ supposed to do? The one thing he could have done was go in like this, okay, and hit him with his face mask instead of the top of his fucking.
It's just
the front of his helmet.
Not
the crown, but the top, the front of his helmet. So. Yeah, you're right, Matt. It's not like they can't fucking afford full-time officials. They can totally afford it.
I don't know. The NFL's, they're in some trouble financially, from what I hear.
Right. They're $10 billion a year in revenue.
What do you guys think about the new challenge rule, where a coach now can get a third challenge if they've gotten one of the two?
I like it because officials suck. So you you shouldn't be penalized.
The officials suck. The officials suck ass. Now, don't get me wrong. Mike Tomlin needs to listen a little bit more to his people up in the booth and not just, I'm going with my gut. I want to challenge this.
Or players screaming at him because they know the call. Yeah. I like it. I think it's good. All too often we see coaches that have to use reviews early in games, then they're out of them, and a big play happens later in a game and they're screwed. So I like that. The trade deadline is pushed back a week. The Steelers were
because of the Steelers.
Well, they suggested that, but there was a team that suggested 2 weeks to week 10.
And there's the Patriots.
Yeah, and so I think 9,
and that went
is good. Right, I think that's a good settlement there to go with 9, because it is kind of easy. I mean, because some teams are still in the thick of it in week 7, week 8, and they don't make any deals, and 3 weeks later they're in the tank. So
yeah, you need a quarterback or anybody,
right. Yeah. I'm good with all that.
Are you suggesting the Steelers needed a quarterback last year, Ryan?
No, because they found their quarterback in Mason.
It's kind of funny they didn't keep him, isn't it?
And he was there all along.
It's odd to me that they didn't keep him, and he's playing for $3 million next year.
Do you really think it's odd though that they didn't keep him, or did he finally say, you know what, you've screwed me more times than Sears? Okay.
Hey, you know what? He wanted to come back. He was at the Steelers facility for a visit. I don't know why he would have come in for a visit, but he did. And then on that day, they heard from Russell Wilson that he was going to sign, and Mason was like, yeah, I don't want to compete with that guy. Okay. And honestly, again, not going to throw any shade. I have to give Mason props for sticking to his guns and being like, look, the Steelers situation is different from the rest of the league, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I come back to Pittsburgh, chances are I'm going to play. Chances are I deserve to fucking play because of the way I played last year.
Mm-hmm.
I want more money than I would get elsewhere, and I want a real opportunity to compete for the first string quarterback position. So, yeah, I got to give him props. When they didn't give him that, he said, okay, fine. If I'm not getting that, I'm leaving. And the Steelers viewed him as a backup, and their offer reflected that, which I think is
can you imagine
a little crappy given the fact that, I mean, granted, his performance in the playoff game wasn't great. But those last 3 starts in the regular season, those were pretty respectable. They should have given him a shot.
It's a quality comment, Ian.
That is fantastic, Ian. That is the comment of the night right there.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Mason would have re-signed and let's say Russell Wilson went elsewhere and then the Steelers traded for Justin Fields? Can you imagine?
And the best part about it is Kenny Pickett would still have been the 3rd best option on the team.
It's true.
I'm never going to let that go. Because
Mark was incredibly ambitious tonight when he suggested on Twitter that this was going to be the last time we talked about Kenny Pickett.
I know.
To be fair, this will be the last time Casey talks about Kenny Pickett.
Are you sure?
Really?
Are you sure? Because the Kenny sexuals are still out there. And respect their pronoun, please.
Are they wearing green now? Kelly green?
I don't know.
I would say that Kenny
could play them in the preseason, you know.
Oh, very much so.
Oh,
we play
can't
who?
wait.
The Kenny Sexuals?
Can't
No.
wait.
Oh, the Eagles.
The Eagles, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we play them in the regular season.
We play them. No, we play them in the regular season.
Yeah.
Play them in the regular season, yeah.
Oh,
Away.
I mean, how
It would be
bad
really funny if Kenny started that game.
I was just gonna say, how bad would it suck if Jalen Hurts, had a tweaked hamstring or whatever, and Kenny Pickett got to start that game, and TJ Watt had 70,000 sacks.
Well, I mean, honestly, let's just say hypothetically, he just had 7 and broke the record.
Yes. And Kenny Pickett pissed his pants with, anyway.
Let's just say that Kenny rolled into 3 of them. Rolled out of a clean pocket into the sack.
But
wouldn't
he actually roll into Highsmith?
Highsmith.
Yeah,
yeah, he typically does roll to his left, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Well, how concerned are you guys about the wide receiver position right now?
Not.
Ian?
We'll figure it out. Okay, think about who Russell Wilson was throwing to last year in Denver, right? It was
from what I understand,
Jerry
Judy's the second coming of freaking Paul Warfield. I mean,
okay.
My God.
Or he was traded for a pick swap or a 5th.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton and a couple other guys who, So, and he had twice as many touchdowns just last year as Kenny Pickett had in his entire career. So, considering that, I'm not super worried about it. We'll figure it out. We'll draft a guy at some point. We may sign someone else in free agency.
I think both of those things are going to happen. The problem in my mind is there's no guarantee that either or both are going to click, though.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, and granted, maybe it's a really good thing that Arthur Smith's there, knowing that he likes the 2 tight end set so much. Therefore alleviating the 3 wide receivers and stuff. But man, we're banking an awful lot on either a free agent or a rookie.
Yeah,
that always scares me.
We've signed a few guys now between Van Jefferson and
Watkins.
Yeah, Watkins, who are basically like 6 foot, 200-ish pounds. Last week, Steelers Freak in the chat asked me to, what were the body type sizes of the receivers that Arthur Smith had when he was in Tennessee. And really it was, AJ Brown, who's just a freak of nature, plus like Corey Davis and some other guys who are kind of in that same like 6 foot, 200-pound range. But the guys we got have speed, but not a lot of wiggle. Van Jefferson, good long speed, not a lot of wiggle. Quez Watkins, good long speed, not a lot of wiggle.
Right.
But if you think back to what Russell Wilson had with DK Metcalf, I mean, people talked about him turning like it was steering the Titanic. Like he can go, but he ain't, wiggling. And they had a lot of success together. So Wilson can throw a better deep ball than anyone we've had since Roethlisberger before his elbow injury. So if they can separate down the field, I have no doubt that Wilson can find them, and that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
And, and I'm gonna piss after this because Scarps has had some drinks. But the point is,
we can tell
Russell. Oh, I'm gonna fucking. I'm gonna find you one day, Ben. No, but the other thing about Russell Wilson is that, yes, he had Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and this is no disrespect to Doug Baldwin and Jerome Kearse, but he had those guys too. And for the Picketologists out there, they're like, oh, fucking Russell Wilson's not going to be any better than Kenny. Please seek help, number one. And number two, Russell Wilson is still a good quarterback. He's hungry to prove that Sean Payton definitely did Bountygate. Yes, we all know that because he was suspended for a year. He definitely did that.
Sharps just looped Bountygate all the way to Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
I'm connecting all the dots
Bountygate,
here, and then
looped it into Pittsburgh,
and then Greg Williams definitely did Bountygate. But no, like Russell Wilson is okay. So Russell Wilson is a shadow of his former self. Have we seen that before? Maybe 2021 Ben Roethlisberger, where he was in a Matt Canada shit-led offense and still threw 21 touchdowns. And at the worst possible moments, he looked at a guy and said, you go this way, and I'm going to fucking throw it to you. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If
it was
Russell
so good.
Wilson, if Russell Wilson looks at Van Jefferson or Quez Watkins or whoever we draft in a crucial moment and goes like this, and they get a first down and we win the game, I don't give a shit because we're gonna win the game. And all the Picketologists will say, well, Kenny won. There's a huge difference between the defense not giving up 17 points and winning and a defense giving up more than 17 points and you're not even getting close to winning.
Yeah.
And that was Kenny Pickett.
And
so,
that was a conversation I had this week on the Twitter for you folks at home that don't know what that means. It's currently the X,
which
the
is
X,
similar to Twatter.
The artist formerly known as Twitter. Was that Kenny Pickett didn't score points with Matt Canada or without Matt Canada. That never happened. And running up a bunch of yards between the 20s does not win games.
No, it does not.
Scoring touchdowns does.
Well, so I want to, while Scarps goes off to the potty,
have fun, Scarps.
Yeah, he said that Russell Wilson will be better than Kenny Pickett, and okay, maybe
that's hard.
No, but okay, Ian, since you spoke up, you're getting this first.
All right,
what will he do specifically that will be better than Kenny Pickett?
Oh,
put more points on the board.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about
that is the most important offensive stat there is.
Yes,
right.
It is. Yes, it is.
See, Ben and I are on the same page.
But
here.
you got to do some things else, right? In order to put points on the board.
In pursuit of putting points on the board.
Yeah, what's
execute
he going
in
to
the
do?
red zone, convert third downs,
There
keep the offense on the field.
Read a defense, Claude.
Read a defense. There
I'll
we
give
go.
you one.
Yes.
I'll give you one. Know how to move the protection.
Yeah. Call an audible. Command the huddle.
Yeah.
Get guys on the same page. All that. Yes.
Commanding the huddle is fucking huge. I'm sorry. We all need to acknowledge the fact that Kenny is gone because he lost the locker room.
Yeah.
All right.
There is very little question of that any longer.
He lost the locker room.
He did.
That is why he's gone. I'm sorry for the Kenny sexuals that don't want to believe it. That's why he's gone.
Yeah. The body language on offense was horrible last year. Even when they were doing well, like Kenny would just kind of saunter out there and just be like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to run.
He's got that great Gazoo helmet too. That big old helmet. And
they all do now.
Made him look even worse.
They all do. They have those.
I know. Mahomes has got
helmets,
but on the flip side,
helmets that prevent concussions.
Yes.
You know, on the flip side, we talked about this last week too, that Steelers fans are going to get really friggin' frustrated with Russell Wilson because he's an eternal optimist and is going to be like, even after a loss, he's going to be like, things are fine. We don't have to worry about this. Who cares? We lost the game. People are going to get pissed about that. We're going to get pissed about that on the show. Yes. I will fully warn you. But in a game situation, when there's a minute 45 left, and we're down by 6 points, if he goes into that huddle and says, guys, we got this, we're fine, we're going to go win this game. Like, you talk about commanding a huddle and getting, instilling confidence in the rest of your group. That's what you want. You want that eternal optimist in the huddle, that guy that's going in there that's saying, guys, we can do this. Let's go,
And I'd much rather have that than a guy that sulks and bitches about everything after a loss or something like that. I know it gets old, it gets cheesy.
Deontay Johnson?
But
what?
Yes. But I'm fine with that.
You know who has like 40 game-winning drives in their career and has a Super Bowl under the belt and is one of only like 14 guys to ever throw 300 touchdowns in this league? Russell Wilson. Not fucking Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett can have all his game-winning drives when the defense allows 17 or less points. But I'm going to tell you this right now.
Exactly, Jen.
Russell Wilson. Thank you, Ben. Russell Wilson next season will throw more touchdowns than Kenny Pickett will in his entire career. Fucking bookmark.
Wow.
Bookmark
next season? His entire career?
Yes,
Mark,
when we do our over-unders in the fall, that's going to be a good
bookmark.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about his entire career.
Hold on, I got to take
so
notes.
far, he's already got 13, Scarps. Okay, now, next year, he might get 1. Probably he's getting 0.
He's going to be working at fucking Circuit City, which is not even doesn't even exist anymore in the next 5 years. I hate myself, but I don't care.
I think Kenny Pickett is a backup someplace in 2026. He's competing for a job with some shit ass organization like the Browns
or the Jets.
The Browns or the Jets. The Jets, Jesus, my God, could that be any more
potential vice president quarterback in them?
Could that be any more dysfunctional there? My God.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, totally fine with it.
I think if I recall correctly, didn't one of us on this show pick the Jets to make the playoffs and maybe make the Super Bowl last year?
I think somebody did. Yeah,
I know it wasn't me.
I think it was Ryan, wasn't it?
Oh. Well, I mean, I didn't expect Aaron Rodgers' Achilles to snap in half. I didn't expect the Aaron Rodgers' Achilles to snap in half because the COVID vaccine that he may or may have not taken and was not immunized. I'm just saying. So, Jen, you're right. I shouldn't open shit with my teeth.
You should not. That's a quick trip to the dentist, man.
Please always tune in. Though.
Thanks, Jen.
Yes. We need a mom.
You are correct, Jen.
Keep us in line once in a while.
Somebody needs to be the monitor.
Yeah. How are you guys feeling about the draft right now? Starting to come into focus for you, or still too early?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not in focus because we still need a center, a tackle, a wide receiver, and a slot corner.
Well, Scarps and I were talking a little bit today, and I think we both in our hearts think we want to go tackle center or center tackle.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't think it's going to happen.
A little bit, okay, because he's not a great tackler. Is the fallback position right now for the Steelers at slot corner is Patrick Peterson. You know that, right?
It will be. It's not currently, but it will be.
It is. That's their fallback position. If they don't get one, they're signing that guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So
I would not be opposed to drafting a corner. If a bunch of the tackles are gone and Kool-Aid McKinstry's available, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Kool-Aid's not really an inside guy though.
No,
not really a field corner.
but we only have Jackson for a year on the outside.
Yeah.
So, like, play him, do whatever.
I hear what you're saying. You're right, but
No,
I don't want another Shannon Sullivan type in there. And I'm fine with Peterson coming back if he only plays on third downs.
Have we
the fifth corner? Fine.
Have we reached a point though where a nickel cornerback is no longer just an afterthought in the draft?
Mark, it's been that way for years, a decade at least.
What?
Nickels
nickel
are starters,
corner is a
basically. I
starter.
mean, they play 75%.
No, I agree. But when you talk about drafting a guy to play slot corner, a lot of people cringe like, "Oh, I can't take one that high." I say bullshit.
I wanted a guy.
Take him.
No, and they like Senquez Golson. Okay, they took him in the second round to play slot corner years ago.
Yep,
and he just couldn't stay healthy, which sucks. But
he had all the tools, man.
He did,
except the height.
Oh yeah, there's that. But he can play slot, and he can tackle.
Yes, but that's what I'm getting at.
To play slot in Pittsburgh, you got to be able to tackle. You got to be a guy who can play and run support.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was where William now, because Willie Gay is a linebacker now.
Right.
For another team. Anyway, William Gay made his money because he was a good slot corner who could also play outside. He wasn't as good outside as he was at the slot.
He's one of my favorite Steelers.
Because he just kept working at his craft and got better and better.
We roasted that guy.
But
he went to Arizona, came back, and man, did he play good football.
Just kept getting better.
Yep.
I mean, and if you're that guy who can keep your eye on the ball and just keep your focus and keep moving forward, those guys are few and far between. Even Ike. Remember the struggles Ike had and Carroll kept benching him?
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And Ike, by the way, is doing fantastic. Yeah,
and under
LSU coaching up DBs this week.
Yeah, but under Tomlin, Ike really blossomed. He became a very, very good corner. Never had hands, but God damn it, if he wasn't a good corner.
No, if he had hands, he'd be first ballot Hall of Famer probably.
Yeah.
God, we interviewed Ike on the show a couple years ago.
We did.
That was fun.
Ike's been on here.
Just Scarps interview him. Says, how about that time that you
notice that Scarps is being very quiet. I'm just gonna segue.
I love Ike. I love Ike.
Oh, he's a character, man.
Never had a problem with Ike.
He's hilarious. I think he came on the show. Wasn't he smoking one of his big cigars when he came on? And
might have been. We had Levon Kirkland on too. We had within
Kirkland
2 months.
Kirkland was really fun, and he was like, if you guys ever want to talk to me again, let me know. We should bring him back on. Honestly,
I got his.
What we should do. What we should do, honestly, is question him about the linebackers now.
Actually, this is getting his take
for
on
all of you that are watching this show now. This is the kind of lovely insight you get to us planning our own show.
I know Levon's working with Clemson again, so
did he ever stop?
I
think Clemson really is his first love.
Oh, it absolutely. He loves it. Loves it down there.
Yeah.
Did we have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, I mean the draft's coming up. We'll do some draft preview shows. I feel like, for me at least, the NCAA tournament's at a point where I'm like, all right, we're getting close to the Final Four. I can focus on the draft now. So I just go in phases.
Well, I'm going to say one thing about the quarterbacks. I've seen more of McCarthy than I've seen of any of the other quarterbacks for the most part. He's a wonderful guy, a good leader. He's got ability. The inconsistencies with it, or with the inaccuracy on some of his throws, I just don't know why he's so high on the board. But
I would not take McCarthy in the top 10. I wouldn't take him in the first round. But
I wouldn't either.
He's
got a huge arm.
So high. He's got the arm.
Yes.
It's
arm
just
talent.
like Josh Allen. But look at Josh Allen coming out. You know very well what it is. The big arm trumps all, because the guys with the big arm, even if they have marginal accuracy, and you think you can train it into them because their mechanics suck.
Yeah.
The big arm can get the ball into those tight windows in the NFL.
Yeah, you can't teach that kind
of
stuff.
So they see those guys and they go, I can coach him up. I can make this work.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know what? The more quarterbacks that go in the top 20, top 19, the better.
And that's a great point. The more quarterbacks that go above us, the better we are.
Yep.
I totally
Paxton
agree.
Lynch was awesome, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a big arm. Went in the first round.
really should have taken that Dallas offer that year instead of taking Artie Burns.
Yeah. The one other thing I'll say about quarterbacks, I saw today reportedly we have a pre-draft meeting visit, whatever, set up with Michael Penix. If he's there in the third round, I'd take a gamble on him. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Steelers take a quarterback in the mid rounds.
We have 2 third-round picks too.
I wouldn't take one in the first 2 rounds.
I wouldn't either.
But I wouldn't be shocked to see them take one in the middle of the draft.
Yeah, I'm always hesitant about that with quarterbacks, but I agree with you, Ian. I wouldn't mind scooping one up in the 3rd or 4th round. Just see what happens. But with that said, we have so many other needs, but that's true every year.
Yeah. No, well, I feel like, offensive tackle, center, and cornerback and wide receiver are the top 4 needs. And, we'll see where things land with those positions and who's on the board and all that. But
Scarps, let me ask you, what is it like around the offices about a month to go before the draft? Is there any sort of change in what happens, or is it still pretty status quo?
No, it's wonderful. The executives are out of the office.
I was waiting for the follow-up.
Cats away, the mice will play. It's nice. It's nice, but it's different. But you get to learn some things that you may have not been privy to.
Mm-hmm.
You see stuff on social, etc.
Yeah.
And then Matt Smith, cheers. Matt Smith. Well, can he have a longer career in the league than Scarps had?
You know what?
Well,
Scarps had a solid 7, which is better than the league average.
Yeah, that's better than many averages. Call God. But the point is,
why did I know I was going there?
The point is, Kenny might have. I don't know. That's a good question, Matt Smith. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know, but I will tell you, the offseason was always wonderful. Oh my God.
Well, I'm just curious if
the offseason was always wonderful. Executives were in and out of the office. Now,
did you do the pickups of the pre-draft visits? Did you have any of those?
My first couple of years, yes.
Okay. Right.
I've driven many people to and from the facility in my 2002 Oldsmobile Intrigue, including Rob Gronkowski.
You're kidding me.
Golden Tate, Antonio Brown, Don Terry Poe, Brian Balaga. I'm trying to think all the guys.
Wait a minute. All the guys we gotta go. You had Gronk in the car with you?
Oh yeah. Gronk. I'll share the story. I don't give a shit. I've tweeted about it. I'm driving Gronk back to the Omni in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
To the facility. And we're driving along 2nd Avenue in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And I pointed up to the left and I said, yeah, up there's Oakland. That's where University of Pittsburgh is, and they share a facility.
Go to Pittsburgh for a while?
No, he went to Woodland Hills
for a year.
So he knew the area, and I said that's where University of Pittsburgh is. They share a facility and a stadium with us. That's where we're going. And I pointed to the right. I said, that's where the South Side is. I said that's the South Side. And he knew what I meant. He goes, bro, I know. I was there last night.
That sounds exactly like him, too.
I've had it. The most famous person, though, in that 2002 Oldsmobile Intrigue who told me to never get rid of it was Dan Rooney, who passed away.
Oh, all right.
And I drove him to and from his final game at the New England Patriots AFC Championship 2016. We lost. And I remember on the way home, I said, I'm going to get a new car this spring, Mr. Rooney. And he said, why? This one's perfect. And I said, well, I didn't say this to him, but
right.
In a nice way, I basically said it's a piece of shit. And he said, nah, keep it. And then he passed away like a month later.
Oh,
so I kept it. I kept it for a couple more years. And
you should have had that thing bronzed, memorialized.
That car had more famous asses in the front passenger seat than
that's your book right there, man.
Usually I'm quick on my feet, but like, Mr. Rooney, cheers. DMR, wherever you are right now, man. Cheers to you. What an amazing guy that dude was.
That's a great story. Guys, I have to be honest. I've been looking forward to this all day today.
Really?
Casey Kasem.
Are we doing that now?
Well, I think we're through the things that we need to talk about, and obviously last week Casey was not available and did not have
Ryan
a chance
doesn't
to comment
love people as much as he loves drinking
on Kenneth Pickett's trade, and so now this is his opportunity to comment on it, and I'll turn over the mic to him.
This is going to be wonderful. Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was March 28th, 1999.
Ooh.
Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us this week, and he writes, Dear Casey, Dear Kenny, won't you come out to play? Dear Kenny, greet the brand new day. The sun is up. The sky is blue. Kyle Allen's a better quarterback than you. Dear Kenny. Casey, good to be back. That's, of course, a parody of Dear Prudence by the Beatles off their album The Beatles, better known as the White Album. Much like John and George, Kenny Pickett's career is dead. Much like Ringo, Kenny, again, isn't even the best at his position on the team. And much like Paul, Kenny blames the breakup on everyone but himself. With every mistake, we must surely be learning. Still my Kenny gently weeps. Casey, I still can't believe the Pickett news. When I heard he was traded, I was more excited than Jim Harbaugh when Macy's has a sale on khakis. I was happier than Steelers fans when TJ Watt gets a ton of sacks but doesn't get a playoff win. Oh. I was more thrilled than Marjorie Taylor Greene when they refill the hard-boiled eggs at a Ruby Tuesday salad bar. Goodbye, Kenny Tuesday. Who could play better than you? You won't change with every new day, and I'm not going to miss you. The Beatles, the Stones, who's next? The Kinks? Speaking of Kinks, Casey, I like a little pain. Like watching the Steelers not win a playoff game the past 7 seasons. They always have you hooked, but there's nothing to show for it. they have less playoff wins than the Browns, and regardless of what Steelers Nation believes, that playoff loss at the stadium formerly known as Heinz Field actually happened. But Casey, there's hope. The Steelers continue to say that they're tired of not winning playoff games, and the moves they've made this free agency have shown that they are not complacent. In a matter of months, they got rid of Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett, two guys that should have never been on the team in the first place. Do Yins believe in life after Kenny and Matt? I can feel something inside me say that the Picketologists really aren't that strong enough. Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. I'm pretty sure that Cher had Sonny Bono killed, but we'll save that for another time. Staying at number 1 for the 4th straight week, here's Cher with Believe.
Didn't he ski into a tree? Cher moved the tree.
She had a sequoia planted before he skied.
Didn't he, seriously, didn't he fall into a tree well?
He skied
into a tree.
That
I
Cher
thought that he fell into a tree wall and he suffocated.
No. He blunt trauma to the head.
Oh. Well, that happens.
Well, they say celebrities always die.
That was a nice send off, Ryan. That was very respectful.
That was
sorta.
Yeah. That was I did not expect a Marjorie Taylor Greene comment.
Pretty sweet.
That was pretty
the whole thing.
She hits that Ruby Tuesday buffet like nobody I've ever seen.
Dear Prudence to kick things off was very, very, very nice.
Skiing football.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord. All right. We will dive headlong into the draft starting next week, everybody. And once again, thanks everybody who's with us every single week.
You guys are the best.
You guys are
truly
awesome. Amazing people, and I could not be more sincere in saying that. Thank you so much. Thanks for the new folks that dropped by, and thanks to the new folks that will be dropping by too. But for these guys, I am signing off. This has been the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers!
Hey, regarding the whole Baltimore thing, we're not going to make fun of them tonight. Baltimore, we're pulling for you. Sorry. God, fucking awful. And just want you to know we're with you.
Yep. Amen. And have a good Easter, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Yep.